Afternoon, and welcome to Straight Talking with Kelly, where real conversations happen. This is where you'll meet some of the most intelligent, creative, and talented people that come to share tips, resources, and information on various topics. My guest comes from a magnitude of industry. Today, I have with me someone from the music industry. His name is Michael Burdette. He is an entertainment producer. So Michael is going to talk about his company, Hylife O'City Productions, and the Love Train to Funk talent show concert that's going to take place on August 28th at the Historic Bal Theater in San Leandro, California. Before I introduce you to Michael, I would like to read a little bit about his bio so you'll know a little bit more about him. Michael is from Detroit, Michigan, that place that birthed Motown Records. However, he now calls the Bay Area his home. He is known as DJ Mikah D. He had a vision to bring quality entertainment to the Bay Area by working in small music venues with well-known artists. In 2018, he formed a partnership with Mike Webster, a founding member of Digital Underground, and they created Hylife O'City Productions. The company not only produces musical events, but they advocate and rally against racism and advocate for social justice. Wow. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Kelly. It's good to be here.
I am so interested in learning a little bit more about you and have the audience learn a little bit more about you and to talk about your upcoming concert. But before we get into that, I would like for you to tell us a little bit about your upbringing in the Midwestern Detroit, Michigan, and how old you were when you moved to the Bay Area.
Yeah, Kelly. I'm from Michigan, Detroit. Actually spent some time in the East Coast as well, in Connecticut, and Sanford, Bridgeport, and that was when my mother was. Her relatives and friends were there, and my dad was in the military. So we actually did come back out to California in the early 70s, and we had a little time in Oakland, and then we went back to Michigan, and I finished high school and did some college out there. So I kind of have dual citizenship, and I have a little bit of Oaktown and a little bit of Motown in me at the same time.
I love that. Oaktown, Motown. There you go. So, Michael, what is your musical background and how did you get involved in becoming a music producer?
Well, music's been a passion of mine since Smokey Robinson's Cruising. For you youngins, that's when we had 45s and we listened to them and swoon and croon, and it was just very, very touching to me. The music, Motown. My dad used to do adjacent to Smokey Robinson on Woodward Avenue in Detroit, Michigan back in the day. So I was kind of brought up in the music scene and just knowing that it was a rich part of our African American culture, and it was just a big thing to be part of Motown, that environment in Detroit, and it still resonates today. And so I started off just doing the regular things, dancing, and I'm the 80s guy, so I started doing pop lock and break dancing and just really enjoy music and what it brings to people. And, I noticed a long time ago that music brings people together, it doesn't tear people apart. So I like the fact that it didn't matter where you came from, what you did, what your occupation was, what your upbringing was. You could come together on music. And so I started dancing. I did dancing for a while, and then from there I just kind of went into a class. I had a couple of degrees in sociology, and it wasn't really doing it for me. And I said, I want to get into something that's really, I can feel, that has depth and weight to it. So I said, okay. And I went to Chabot, shout out Chabot in Hayward, California. And I went to the radio and television broadcasting curriculum, and that's the rest is history. I got involved with doing projects at school and try to make a circuit out of the community college hip hop scene, and that kind of fell through. And then I got into venues around the Bay, and I just got financing and decided to go that route.
Wow, that's exciting. So, what led to the decision of you and Mike Webster forming the Hylife O'City production company, and what does that mean? Does that name have a meaning?
Well, first of all, Hylife. I think every person wants to be rich. And I think they don't have a way of obtaining that. Like they see all this glitter and gloss and Hollywoodism. And so I always thought that to be in the high life was to have a consciousness where you could think about richness and greatness. And so you can have your head in the clouds, and no city having that gritty metropolitan urbane kind of feel. So I said high life in those cities where you can be authentic and transparent and be down there and, you know, with the people and kind of congregate on a meaningful level. And that, therefore, you know, you could be felt on that level. So I said high life, consciousness, and low and high life O'City being togetherness as a people as one. So that was super cool. How me and Mike got together was Mike and I kind of met through another friend of mine, and he said, you know, this guy is a founding member of Digital Underground, and I was like a deer in the headlights at the time. I'm like, oh, like a celebrity, because I was like, you know, I'm DJing at a city college, you know, and I said, well, can we make something happen? And he said, oh yeah, I'm gonna call Shock G right now. So I was already in like, oh my God, Shock G, you know, Tupac, Shock G, whoa. So I started. I got on the phone. I talked to Shock. Shock was really kind, really nice, and from that point, he was like, you know, we can do a concert. And I said, okay, well, I'm trying to get the okay from the school. And it turned out that he was willing to do it, and I did the contract basis. And then we started rolling. And I said, okay, here's what I'll do. I'll do the contract and the admin because that's all I'm good for. And then you could do the booking, talent agency, and you could do like the scouting for everything and the merchandising. And so that's how we got together. And unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to do a show with Shock G. He passed before we could get it done. But we formed a union that we hope will last a long time.
Well, you know, I was really amazed to find out how involved he was in the music industry. I thought it was just the Humpty Hump song, you know, and a couple of other songs, but he really was a force in the industry, wasn't he? He was a writer. He produced other artists. Is that correct?
Yeah, Shock G was brilliant. You know, he self-taught on the piano. He did a lot for Tupac. I Get Around was his. You know, he wrote that for Tupac and kind of lived in the Prince era and had collaborations with a lot of great artists. So when people think of him just being the guy with the big nose on stage, it was so much more. He
Yeah.
represented a lane that people were afraid to get into because he didn't. No one was making rap fun then. They were making rap kind of a political statement, or they were making rap some kind of altruistic kind of urban feel where you had to be kind of street. And he got away from all that. He just pushed everyone into some fun, happy rap, likened to Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. So it was really nice to see that, you know, lightness of music. When he put it out there, and to this day, people will still put that music on, and they just love dancing to it.
Well, you know, it was interesting because I saw all the accolades that he got, so you can definitely tell he was well respected and well loved. So, you know, rest in peace, Shock. Yeah, wonderful,
R.I.P.
wonderful.
Shot.
But that's wonderful that you had an opportunity to be in his presence. So that's a lot. That's a lot. So
It's a big
you're
thing.
luckier than
Yeah.
most. You're luckier than most. So now let's talk about the Love Train to Funk show that's taking place on Saturday, October the 28th at 6:30 p.m. at the Historic Bal Theater in San Leandro. And you have such an amazing lineup. You have Confunction, Sherelle, the comedian Dexter Tucker, and uh, Jay Red. What made you pick this wonderful mix of a unique group of talent? How did you do that?
Well, first of all, we have two shows, Kelly.
Uh-oh, okay.
Just to put a plug in, six
Okay,
thirty and nine
enlighten me.
o'clock. Oh, excuse me. Anyway,
Okay.
so
Okay.
it's the
So wait a
six.
minute. Let's go
Yeah.
back. So you have a show at 6:30 and then another one at
Yes.
9. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
So yeah, and we decided that first of all, I'm gonna get groups that I'm a fan of first because I want to see the show. I love great live music, and I think the in touch and the personable ability of people to grasp music and come together is still a moniker for a lot of us. So I remember going to Oakland in 19 something, and I saw KBLX put on a show where Confunction was live, and it was a sea of black faces. And I remember African Americans just really relishing in something really beautiful. And I loved their music. They sounded better live than their actual CDs or tapes. And so I said, I got to get them one day. And it's funny how things go full circle. So when I got the opportunity to get them, I said, I'll take them. And so I reached out to a friend of mine in the industry, and I got Confunction, and it's a dream band I wanted to see live anyway. And Sherelle, of course, with Alexander O'Neill. I tried to get both of them. I couldn't because Alexander was in Europe, and I said no, and he said post-COVID, he said I'll come back and do it next time. I said okay, so I got Sherelle, which is better than half, and Dexter Tucker is Chris Tucker's brother from Rush Hour. People don't know that, so they're gonna know it after he performs, because I mean it's just that. He's funny. I wanted some Dirty South in there. And the South has just got this kind of flavor about it that makes country home cooking feel good when you digest the palate. He's got that kind of flavor. And Jay Red's a local legend in comedy here. He's everywhere, and he helps out a lot. He's really deep in the community. So I wanted him to have an opportunity to get on this bill, because he is funny, and he does do a lot to support a lot of events here. So I said, come on and have some fun.
Yes, can I share the screen real quickly so I can I want to share your promo video that you have out, because I thought it was really kind of funky.
Hello, Bay Area. Confunction is bringing back the Love Train. Join me, Felton Pilot, Confunction, Sherelle, and hilarious comedians Dexter Tucker and Jay Red at the Historic Bal Theater on August 28th in San Leandro. Hylife O'City Productions setting it off with 2 shows for you so we can get out of the COVID blues and get with some funky moves. Go get your tickets now and be at the party. See you then.
Right.
Nice.
Now, wasn't that beautiful? So I just know that hearing that music, I was like, yes, talk to me about how it's set up for COVID. So is that why you're having the 2 separate shows?
Oh yeah, shout out Felton, because I wrote the script so he could run the script, and he did all the graphics. So we worked really good on that video, which is really super cool. And I had booked them pre-COVID. So I was thinking 1 show, and because of the mandates that came down June 15th, I was like, okay, what can we do? And so, a promotions and a productions is a concerted effort. There's a big teamwork behind the scenes. It's the venue, it's the artist, it's the promoter, it's the street teams, it's the local community and the vibrations that you get. And so my initial thoughts, because we have a huge population here in California, is that we need to split the shows up so people can feel comfortable. And no matter where that falls, we're going to make sure that that's okay. So we did want to be COVID safe. We wanted to make sure that half capacity was a full capacity for us, and that people could really have the room to navigate and feel kind of comfortable without feeling like they were too up and close and personal and having to worry about their personal health. So that worked. And then on top of that, we made it reasonable for them to digest in terms of having financial breaks for them in terms of marketing the prices on the tickets and making it a little bit more affordable as time went on. So a lot of things went into making that really, really COVID friendly and safe for the community.
That's beautiful, because right now, people are a little bit afraid of it. And so to hear you talk about the steps that you guys have put in place to make sure that people are safe and can have a good time is very, very important. Now, how did you come up with the name Love Train to Funk? How did that happen?
Well, I name all my shows, and I guess it's just what happens is I get inspiration and I kind of tie things in, like LaToya London's show will be from London to Oakland. And so it's really not complicated, but the best ideas are real simple, right? So I said, okay, well, I think in this context, I think that it would be really nice to have the Love Train focused on, because that's one of the greatest hits ever. It's classic. And then there are the funkiest band that I've seen live. So I said Love Train to Funk, and that draw that connection. So yeah, just something off the top of the head that makes sense, and it's got to have a rhythm to it. Most of it, if it feels good and when I say it, then it feels good when I post it.
Okay. Now tell me this. So you have a knack for promoting Bay Area talent. Tell me more about some of the people that you have worked with and some of the artists that you will be working with.
Well, I have Georgia M. Woodrow, who's a Grammy nominated singer she was in against the 2020 Grammys against Lizzo. So she's on docket. We're just looking for a spot for her. She's Bay Area, she's local. Richie Rich, Be Legit rappers, really good dudes. I want them to flourish, and they're from the Bay Area. And Nefta Farrell's a youngster who we have a lot of faith in. He's from Vallejo, so he's local. And Jane Hancock is also local. So and Confunction's local. So it's been like a whole mix of things that we can kind of press together to make the best souffle. And people really digest really good meals here in the Bay Area because it's so eclectic. So I wanted to touch bases with them. I never want to lose faith or lose focus on who's making this happen. It's not me, it's teamwork, it's community, it's Bay Area. So I wanted to bring those into the talent cycle. And they also do their own self-promoting too. So it's really super cool. And they're really kind people. And so with that mixture, you can't fail.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is it? The teamwork make the dream work? Is that how it
Teamwork
goes?
makes the dream work. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so now, what are some of the key things that have helped you to get where you are today? What would you say they are?
I think it's just one of the things that you got to look for opportunities and seize them and be persistent and don't quit. And usually, if something's meant to happen, then the compilation of the order of events usually happen in your favor. Usually if they don't and there's too much pushback, it's probably going to push you in another direction. So I got a good vibes from Mike initially, and then it just kind of snowballed, and nothing told me no. There was no no's. It was always like, you can do this if you press a little further on this, or if you ask the questions here. And the whole thing I looked at as an educational opportunity. So there was no rejection. And this whole Bay Area music scene and just entertainment in general, they're really accommodating people. They really will educate you as you go along and say, look, we can do this for you, we can do that, because they're really out for your success. So there was a lot that came into me being promoted as a promoter and supported by Bay Area community people, and knowing that there's a lot of people here that could use the help. And so when I got the help, I immediately grabbed a team of people that were just like, hey, do you want to learn how to do this as I've learned? And so that's where I've gotten to the point where I am now. Just collaboration, teamwork, learning, not wanting to just rest on my laurels and say that's enough. You know, how big can we get? How much more can we promote? What can we do to make the ambiance and the people feel as though they've been concierge and supported customer service wise, so that they feel like they've been taken care of.
That's beautiful. And then the simple fact that you are very eager and passing that torch, bringing others along. That's so important. That's so important to give back like it was given to you.
Yes.
Now, what are some of the most memorable projects you've worked on? What would rate high on your list?
Well, you know, everybody knows Hylife O'City is in its infancy stage, and every project that we've worked on has been bricks and mortar, hammer and nails, whether it be level 13s or the complex or any place that we put into, whether it's a gymnasium or a church. We just did the footwork to put things together. We were more interested in building quality than building mass. So I can't really point to one event. I think level 13, my first one where I put the rappers together and I made sure that the ambiance and the professionalism and the point of interest was going to be beneficial to the community. So in other words, these rappers that came knew beforehand that there was an etiquette and there was a protocol that I was going to make them adhere to, and I was going to adhere to myself. So it was a beautiful gathering amongst people, and rap gets a very bad stigma attached to it, like, oh, there's going to be this and that, and this is just a really laid back, really tranquil crowd. They had a great time. Everybody went home happy, and that's what I want out of most of my events.
That's beautiful. So now, Michael, name 3 people that have inspired you.
The 3 people that have inspired me the most, one would be my dad. And the reason why I say my dad is because my dad is the kind of man who never took that he was in the 50s and he was promoting himself and becoming the best medicine person. He was, I mean, in other words, he was an LVN and then he went to an RN and became a PA, and he just kept climbing the ladder against all obstacles. That's one. My mother was one of the first Black women who ascended to the position of manager on the line at General Motors. So she was always, they never told me that I wasn't good enough. They always said, look at what we do and then do what we do. And so those are probably two of my biggest influences, in the familiar sense, in the nocturnal sense of what we do. In another sense, I think probably the person that made me feel the most like a man was Denzel Washington. And I hate to say that because it's like,
that's awesome.
What does that have to do with music, Mike? It's like, well, here's the thing. When I started watching Denzel, he showed me how to become a man of etiquette. More than Sidney Poitier, more than anybody else, Denzel exemplifies what you want to be like one day as a man. Like, you want to facilitate dialogue, you want to have a sharp wit, you want to be able to be resilient, you want to be a man amongst men, and then you want to be able to recede and have some compassion. I wanted to be that. He was my hero. Like, look what he's doing on film. And then off film, he would also advocate and support and do a lot of philanthropic and charitable opportunities out there in the world and the college circuit and stuff. So I really watched his movements, and I said, I will never look as good as him. I will act as good as him. How about that?
Wait a minute. Well, what about that walk? He got that walk like Obama. I mean, they can walk. Oh, yeah. He got that swag, baby.
That does not mean no.
Yeah, but he is definitely a wonderful role model. I think that was a perfect example, and it has nothing to do with the music industry, and it shouldn't. It doesn't have to. No. The simple fact that he's, what do you call it, transcendent, where he can actually affect all people, no matter what industry you're in.
Right.
He's just a phenomenal man.
Absolutely.
So, Michael, now tell me this. What would your 9-year-old Michael say to the grown man Michael now?
He would say, you did it. You did not lose your transparency. You did not lose your substance. You didn't lose your humanity along the way. You kept it conscious. You have a belief, either be godlike or people-like, that it's okay. And I think that he would be very proud of me. And he'd say, God, that's what I wanted. I wanted you to stand and not recede back into nothing. And there's a difference between living and being alive. And I think I'm alive, and that works for me. So I think he'd be proud of that.
Wow. Now that was beautiful. So that 9-year-old boy is really happy. Like you said, he's very proud of you, and you are able to look back and tell him as the grown man, we did it.
Yeah, we did it. No, we're okay. We're going to be all right. Yeah.
We stayed focused, and there's more to come, right?
Right.
More to come. So now, is there anything you would like to say that would inspire other young people that are coming up that want to get in the music industry or that want to be an entertainment producer like yourself? What would you say to them?
If you know yourself, you know where you're going all the time. You got, the roadmap starts right here, and wherever you end up, you'll be fine where you land. And that's okay. And I think a lot of times there's a point where people have stopped connecting, and there's a disconnect, and people start to recede back into the fear and not move into the faith. And I think that what we need to do as a people, and what we need to educate our young kids on, is that there is something worth being here for, and there is a place, and there are people who care. And I think that at some point they will have that in-touch feeling that lasts a lifetime. So I think that, if you don't know where you're going, you never get there. And if you don't know where your basis of your agreement with yourself, you got to know that you're okay no matter what. And I think that's a myriad of dealing with people throughout the lifespan and disassociating yourself from things that are not necessarily healthy for you. So there's a lot to be said about becoming the best version of yourself early and continuing that version to see what it transforms into.
Yeah, so do you think social media plays a part in young people's social skills not being able to really interact with one another or really getting in touch with themselves because they're so busy with their heads down doing this.
I think social media gets a bad rap because I think social media has a draw. It's a form of entertainment. It's a form of, initially the computers and all the Wi-Fi and the internet was supposed to be for educational purposes. And we've kind of slanted that and kind of drawn people into apps that keep them distracted from self, right? So I think we as a society, as parents, need to rein it in with the kids. I think society has to stop pointing kids to the internet for timeouts and start bringing them outside. I mean, when I was small, two sticks and a rock, and we had a game. You know, like
Yeah.
I know it's antiquated, but hey, two sticks and a rock, and we can make something happen. We didn't need G.I. Joe. We didn't need that. We made our own imagination, and I think that's what happens when people are creating your imagination for you. You don't have our arts and creativity that we used to have. We don't have that in touch, those feelings of expression that we used to like fight for those expression now. Whereas before it was out there and it was like, you could go and build that on your own. So I think that we need to we need to promote parental guidance and moving them people away from social media, the young kids especially, and even the older ones, setting the example of doing what kids are doing, and then also and giving them all alternatives, options. Maybe it might be in music, maybe it might be in correspondence and speaking and artistic endeavors, whatever. Let's give them something else to do than grab a gadget. And I think they don't have that.
Absolutely. And that's why I brought it up because I think it's really important that parents really got to start reading to their kids. I don't know how often kids are reading nowadays. I work with some middle school kids right now and teaching them sewing. And so it just feels really good to be able to be in a room with these little teenage girls, watching them learning how to thread a needle, knot the needle, and then start stitching. And they are having the time of their lives. So you're right. I think they really need to be exposed to other things because that's sitting on a phone is not going to do it. So before we end, I'd like to remind the audience not to miss the Love Train to Funk performance with Confunction, Sherelle, comedian Dex Tucker, and Jay Red. And again, it takes place Saturday, August 28th at the Historic Bal Theater, 6:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. I got it right this time, okay?
Well. Don't forget the 9 o'clock show.
Okay, in San Leandro. And yeah, so I think it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful time. So Michael, before we leave again, is there anything else you want to say to the audience? And especially about the show? Tell them to come ready to do what?
Get ready to enjoy yourself. I mean, from like the meet and greets to just being in the Historic Bal Theater, we're going to drive. We need that place in Mid-East Bay to enjoy ourselves. We just need it. And I think that if we can all come together and also put that together for causes like the Love Train and Funk show is all about a great live band. You're not going to see this every day. You're going to see this people that have been doing it for 30, 40 years and know everything to a key and to a cue. So that's super cool. And also the next show that's coming up is the Ladies Soul Revolution with Marsha Ambrosia, and that's on October 9th. And that is all about the women and women empowerment. And we're gonna have her and Anissa Strings, and we're gonna have Ryan Nicole, who's a spoken word artist, and we're going to give some proceeds to breast cancer awareness and breast cancer support. And so we've picked a couple charities we're going to go and help them out with. So our theme will always, when we do a show, we're going to give something back. We don't care. We're going to do a show, and we're going to find something for kids in juvenile detention. We're going to find something with kid runaways. We're going to find something with the elderly that need support, whatever it may be in the Bay. Specifically in the Bay Area, we're going to do all we can to try to put our stamp on giving back to the community. Wow, so yes, go to the show. Yes, enjoy yourself. Yes, wear something psychedelic if you want to, because no one's going to be scared. And then come on back and tell everybody how it was.
That's great. Hey! Awesome. That's so awesome. So again, Michael, I would like to thank you for taking time to be my guest on Straight Talking with Kelly, where real conversations happen. And I will definitely look forward to having you back again. So thank you.
Thank you. I look forward to it, Kelly. Thanks for having me.